first, we got to get through these Tower of God comments. So Pat, just so you know, I had made a video just saying, I asked the question: are Tower of God fights good? Like, are they generally good? Are they average? Are they bad? And so I'm just gonna literally read through the comments, go through what they're saying, and if you want to chime in, you agree, disagree, feel free. I know I remember you got to the third season. I don't remember how far you are, but yeah, you still have a lot you can input if you want, and then we'll hop into the Tagashi portion.
A little something like eeny, meeny, right from the beginning. Smoke a little pack, but the pack never timid. Church, but I'm seeing it. Curse when I'm winning. She need a new back. When it's back, I'ma bend it. Slap up some guinea, pass me the henny. Watch a nigga black slipper yak, I'ma quit it. Swerve in the Benzie, perfume is Fendi. Bobbin' move fast, real fast like I'm Ricky. That's 'cause I'm pretty, came from the dirt. Shovel up a nigga, can't handle the work. Ooh, y'all, swing with it first. Young white girl like a ramble.
But all right, say hi to YouTube, because this will be on YouTube later.
Hello, YouTube.
And we got the first comment from Traveler Stars, and he just said that they are average. That's fair enough. Okay. David says they're hit or miss, but not good enough to call him great at combat. Actually, Pat, before I even get into that, just give me your general opinion
On Tower of God fights. Some of them are very wordy, and I have to like read it over and over. Like, I was saying, season 1 and 2, it took a while for me to understand some of the rules, but like in season 3, it's like he just said fuck all of that, and it's just been niggas just like straight up fighting each other.
Yeah.
But I feel like when the fights are done well, they're very captivating. Like, I think of the Hidden Floor fights. I don't think he missed a single one.
Okay. Well, yeah, that Jihad with Dana Machete was pretty cool. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah.
And Nicardi and Asensio, the other Asensio. So
Yeah, I also really like the fight with Elaine
okay.
in season 2.
Kaiser versus JVG.
Yeah, and of course, I love Yuri versus Karaka. Like, that was like the first time we saw two major combatants showcase what they're capable of. The only thing I don't like is the lack of stakes that he has in his fights. I come away feeling like nothing is gonna change when I see some of the fights sometimes.
Like, this conflict is just conflict for conflict's sake, but it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, like the last station.
Yeah. Can agree with that.
Like, a lot of those fights were very flashy, but at the end of the day, like, nothing came of it. All that happened was Calivan sat at the chair at the end. It was like, damn, I fucked up.
I'm fired. He said, I'm losing my benefits, my pension. It's all gone. It's gone. He's sitting there like, dang it. Why didn't I take it serious? So, okay. Because he was very flip floppy on his entrance. He was I didn't know what to do with him. You guys know I like Caliban at this point, but at first I don't know what to do with that man. So he playing the piano. I don't know what he was doing, but anyways, like, what was the piano? What was that for? I thought it used to be some like music related, eloquently speaking. He a meathead. Maybe that was the point to make me think. Maybe to make me think a certain type of way. I don't know, but.
He wanted you to think that Caliban was scary. You had to insert the music in your head. Like, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da. That's what he wanted.
You love that Ace Attorney OST, baby. But all right. Yeah, I love that. That's so good. So the comeback. Wait, comeback what? I don't know that. I don't know what you're talking about. But okay, so Raul said, I've noticed that it's hard to follow fights sometimes, but I thought it was by design. Maybe depicting the chaos in a fight, for example. Yeah, sometimes when I read the fights, I'm like, what's going on? I actually have that. I don't know if you've had that problem, but I personally believe it's been exacerbated in the third season. There's a lot of pop, cool overlays, and a lot of flash and filters. But I'm like, I don't actually like. I understand White did a big horizontal slash, but but after this is just a bunch of like cool looking effects to me that doesn't really mean anything. I don't know what's going on.
I've
Uh,
seen some panels, so
yeah,
I can agree with that.
yeah. Just remind me exactly where you were when you stopped. Did you get to the white and bam stuff or no?
No, I stopped like right before that. The last thing I remember seeing was Yo Love showing out for a little bit, and then Ivanka was just standing there for like 5 chapters in a row,
Hmm.
and then I was like, all right, I'm done. She's not doing anything.
Okay, I got you. Recently, I see you be spamming long ass panels back to back. Yeah, especially when it comes to Shinsu fights. I would agree with that. Like it's just like the one because I still enjoyed the Caliban and White showcase, but a lot of but it has good panels that I like. But if you're
Mm.
talking about the consistent flow, I don't see it. Like White cutting through the essence of bravery energy to just kind of like it's almost like you couldn't see Caliban through all of it, and he just cuts him and reveals him like there you are. I'm like, oh, that was cool. I'm like, you cut the bush, and you just saw him like hiding under there. Like a lot of good panels, but the flow was gone. And I think you said this earlier. He, I would argue that when the fight is good, is really good. So
Hmm.
I like Anak versus Rand. I like Rand and Inieta. I like that fight a lot because of the machete line. I think it's so cold about tanking the hit. Don't try to dodge your RAA swordsmanship. You just take the hit. You hit him something harder. Like that's some teach shit. I like that. That's cold. Um, I like Kaiser Name Hunter versus Juvial Grace. That's the one where I think his choreography was probably near its best because I don't know if you remember, Bam was on the blue ore and he's kind of bobbing and weaving through her weapon needle inventory, and it looks really good. And he was getting these like really like Capriora type kicks in too. Like he was kicking like he was that fight was really good. That Jihad obviously versus Bam is really good. I think that one also has a lot of intrigue because it's like a regular versus like the data of an irregular when he was climbing. Like, how would this actually go now? Like, we're like actually have this level of intrigue. And with Bam's first encounter, and he saw a monster and freaked out and still got bodied, you were actually like, oh shoot, like okay, maybe he's gonna get pushed now. I don't know what's gonna happen. So, I think that fight is also really good. When people started flying, Ish just went chaotic. Yeah, there's that too. There was a point that somebody, I don't even know if it was you, Pat, but someone said something about the problem with having characters that fly in series and what it does, but I don't remember the comment. If I remember it, hopefully I remember if it comes back. So high and low said, like
Mm.
you said,
That's interesting.
yeah. Fights are very hit and miss, and in season 3 he's messed up a lot. He's missed a lot, but fights in Tower God thrive most when the emotional investment is heavy. For example, I think Bam vs. White on paper is very well drawn. I think it's a good action sequence. That being said, it's the worst fight in the series. I have not been the same since. There's no emotional investment because we know it's going how it's going to go, and we don't like where it's going. It's pretty though, kind of echo those sentiments. Like the beginning of the White and Bam fight is actually not badly choreographed. The way that Bam was having to dodge his swordsmanship or whatever, and I don't know what happened, but that fight, I don't know if there's like emotional stuff in there because they have history and you've been waiting for White to make his move, but the timing just seemed very very weird in my opinion. But
Mm.
I think the way SIU colors has changed and has affected the fights. Look at season 2 and 3, you can see the difference. I think there's a big difference here. So Dan Green, there's 22 replies here, so I'm gonna go through these. That's crazy. Dan Green says Bam versus White is easily top 5 fights in Tower of God. Stop being a sheep and listening to all the tolls on Reddit and manga helpers. Bam versus White had one of the best best fight sequences, action, emotional toll, and pull behind it, and development for both White and Bam. I think this is one of those instances where it's fine to say, "Hey, I enjoyed it." You don't gotta lie, you know. You don't gotta be disingenuous. You don't gotta lie about it. Like you like the fight. That's okay. Like everything he just said about that is wrong, except for the action sequence. But like, like, like objectively, like he's very wrong about this. So I mean, shout out to you, Dan. I mean, you're allowed to believe what you want to believe, but again, sometimes, guys, it's okay to be like, hey, I know no one likes this. It's not very good. I had fun. I laughed. It was cool, and I moved on. You don't got to do all that. I don't like points like that because I'm like, why be dishonest for dishonesty's sake? You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Like for example, whenever a close combatant is fighting the fights, are very well done, such as Indiana versus Rand, Anak versus Rand, Bam versus Al Jihad. Where SIU clearly shows the actions being done. I feel like SIU has been neglecting showing action sequences. I think the series would benefit from a more traditional manga framework. All the explosions and huge monsters seem to struggle on the web to strip, in my opinion. That's a very interesting way of looking at it because of the long strip format. Do you think it's harder or easier or just a different in the way you have to craft a fight? What do you think, Pat?
It's definitely a different. What's the word that I want to use? Different style or different way that you have to handle it when you have a long strip, because it's like there's advantages. Like you can show like if somebody is dropping from a tall vantage point, you can further accentuate that by going down multiple pages. But at the same time, you're kind of limited to what you can do horizontally.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in manga, like it's more like a traditional comic book format. So it's like this page, that page, this page, boom, impact page. So
Yeah. I feel that.
to give the safe answer, they both have their advantages and disadvantages.
That's probably how I see it, though. Like, I just think it's a different type of animal to tackle. You know, the
Yeah.
traditionalism, you could still do it, but like you could probably make it work with the flow with one long strip. But yeah, I just think it has its strengths and weaknesses, like pros and cons. I would actually say. Top five, what is he smoking? It's not top five. The answer to what is being discussed is no. Who's being a sheep? Sounds like a webtoon comment if them ninjas were eating that fight up. I would. Again, I'm gonna go through the rest of it and see if anything interesting here. So, development. So, Dragonborn said development for Bam. Like what? Self-realization, knowing he was lied to, resolved to make a change at that given moment. He's lying. Oh my God, why are you lying? There's no need for this. At that given moment, instead of running, listening to others, Caliban last station, also him finishing a fight completely helps his character. I disagree. It ain't even that pretty. You are stuck on Bam. The fight sucks. If you love it, cool. No need to assume people who decide are doing so because they're being led to. Thank you. That's all I cared about. That's all I wanted. Thank you, Ashu. I just wanted to say that's all I wanted to. After rereading, I don't think season 3 is as bad as people say to be. Bam versus White isn't as bad as I originally thought. I still wouldn't put it up there with my favorite fights like Bam versus Dada Jihad or Rand versus Indiana, but I would still say it's a good fight. Self-realization, like how? Couldn't lie to him about Arc Raptor instead of holding Quinn accountable for lying. He did nothing and moved on without listening to others. Bro, if he fought Caliban, he would have died 10 times before we could do anything. It doesn't help the fact that the power-up that Bam got to finish White wasn't even built up properly and he was just there to beat White. Bam versus Dada Jihad, I would say, did it better. There's more. Show more replies? Yo, I never seen that in my life. That one exists. I thought it showed more, and that's it. There's show less. I've never seen that before, but that's crazy. Okay, hold on. Wrong again. Bam power has been built up to show how drastic and different his Shinsu is from others. He said he put Shinsui. So I'm guessing he's not an English speaker. So though that big shock he was able to draw his Shinsu better and use it at a more advanced state compared to when he fought Dada Jihad, where he was literally only using the inklings of his original Shinsu. Could have been built up better, yes. Does it fit with the theme and the overall dark change? Yes. Oh my God, Pat, he's lying. I promise he's not telling the truth. This is not the truth. It's fine. Y'all just over criticize SIU's work, but I highly doubt any of you can make 1/4 of an interesting, compelling story as him.
Oh, brother, not that argument.
But remember, Pat, that doesn't work with me. I have published short stories. You can't say that to me. And I have articles that have been very well received. At the end of the day, as a writer, you could say, sure, I can't make a webtoon or graphic novel, but you actually cannot use that argument against me. It doesn't work with me. So you still lose, Dan.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, you got on that dang. That's nah. This is the guy I was telling you about.
Oh, okay. So yeah. He's lying. I don't know why. It's okay to like it. How you doing, Miles?
How you guys doing? I see that you are reading these interesting comments about what makes good shit. I think this guy has absolutely lost his mind, but I'm gonna be respectful today. It's about being nice.
I'm not. I'm choosing violence because I think he's just being disingenuous. Again, like I said earlier,
No,
Miles,
I think
it's
he
okay.
genuinely thinks this.
No,
I think he genuinely thinks it.
but like him saying like you guys are being sheep because you don't like it. What? Like that's the type of stuff I don't really like.
Yeah.
And then he did I think someone said, yes, the classic. You say it's bad, but you couldn't do better argument. Like, thank you, Hilo. Like, come on, man. But okay, hold on. So it's fine. Awkward work. Anyone for interesting. Get off your high horse. SC did a good job, and the build up tension and fight was done in a great way. Could he have held Kun accountable? Yes, but he could have. But that would simply be him backtracking. The only person he has to blame is himself. Could have easily had given Prince or any of them a call through the pocket, but didn't. Him lashing out on Kun is stupid, but when he had the resources to speak to them his whole time, it's immature, and that in itself is not taking accountability on his part. Learn how to read and understand the character. Y'all want Bam to take 5 steps, then 10 steps backwards. Make it make sense. Bam has no reason to hold Kun accountable. Bam has no reason to hold Kun accountable. He held himself accountable, and White who did the killing. Simple. Wrong. All right, so let's unpack that. Oh boy. So did you guys know that when someone is changing for the better, it's not always linear?
Oh no! I mean, it's almost as if like we've lived actual real lives.
It's almost like change can be conflicting. You might take 10 steps forward, but then take a couple back because it's not that easy to change. It's like, Now, while I argue Uro-chan went too far with this, one thing I've always said is she didn't have John have one flashback and change his whole personality 180. He constantly struggled with the very thing that he was like, mentally struggling with. And he would, sometimes you think, okay, maybe he's good with it. And then he would just see something and he's like, yo, these effing royals, these blah, blah, blah powers, hierarchy, ray-tay-tay. So
he would get triggered.
What is this dark change again that keeps being brought
I don't
up?
know. He's the exact same character. There's not a single thing that shifted in any direction.
He's the same person. That's what I don't like. This guy doesn't get. Bam is the same guy. He said it from an early on point. Even as season 3, it's been reiterated. Mm-hmm. He says, "I'm not a good person. I'm not gonna look away from these dead bodies because this is all my fault. Mm-hmm. I'm a dickhead." He gets it. There's no dark change. Bam isn't going hiding in the shadows and looking around like he's Batman. Like this. Like what are we talking about?
I don't know. Hold on, go to the chat real quick and then Pat, you can comment. Where are your best-selling manhwa credentials? Young paperwork? I don't got any, bro. I'm late, but here all the same. What's up? How you doing? It's all black and white. Clichos kill, you lose it. Good day, sir. Put your credentials on the table. He is the slave in utero. That's good. I like that. Shit, I lost where I was. If you can't write a paragraph like Tolkien, don't speak to me on writing quality for real, what? Brother. He needs to get SLU's me out of his mouth. Damn, I didn't even think about the fact Bam has never called up his homies anytime. That's crazy. He hasn't. I was losing my mind during that whole thing. He disliked the comment. Yeah, I did. I never did that before. Really. When Bonjour mon coeur. He was blaming himself for Arc after Prince's death. Wait. Miles, he burnt some random souls. You're a darker person now. Bam don't got the chin to be Batman. Bam and Gotham. Oh God. Okay. Let me see if this keeps going. Anything interesting? That is no build up like Leviathan. Also, shut up about dark change. He didn't change a bit. Hold on. No, I'm sure he did. He's still the same person, but without a single change. We'll be being a little talking today, guys. If you saw a change, show it to me. I maybe can't draw, but I for sure can think of a better ways to do the arc. Okay, Edward Kenway. Yes, sir.
We're going crazy.
Shout out to Assassin's Creed. He blamed himself. Okay, but it's also couldn't fault he didn't tell him. If my friend don't tell me that my friend died by an asshole and I learned it from him, I would be pissed. Then again, I don't think Bam sees them as friends in the first place. Also, it's Kun who shares info and contact with the others under the group, so it's his fault that he didn't share it. Ultimately, Bam was operating on not the truth. That's really the main takeaway here. It's hard to make informed and right decisions if you're operating on misinformation. Which is like the big topic of, the board of. Anyways, but yeah.
Wait, I'm about to read this whole thing because I came in late, so I can really get on and just continue that.
Okay. The classic say it's bad, so you can do better argument. I'm also the other one I read it that said Bam vs. White was bad, and then the post got deleted. So am I being a sheep for following myself? Yes, you are. Reddit Reddit sus as F deleting a post on fiction. Fair. We can disagree, but still try to see us side of the argument. As someone with common sense and not being a sheep like everyone else, uses context clues and knows how to read between the lines and understand the character. It's rare, and I agree there are fights better than Bam versus White, but the fight is still great. Ah, yes, just because someone agrees with you, with you means others are being a sheep, and just because others agree with me doesn't mean what you said is true. I said what I said. You did too. We're clearly not getting anywhere, so this convo was pretty much over. Bam versus White. Top 10 fights. Is there 10 fights in this? I mean, maybe probably top 10. Top 3 fights in the season 3 so far. That's not really saying much. All right, man. Shout out to you, Dan. That was fun. I've never seen show even more replies before. 32 replies to that? They were not moved by it. They were not moved. Okay. Let me see what the chat's saying.
People, I don't think he's. I don't think he's.
Man, stop.
He's not lying. I think he's just actually a moron. That's it. Like, some people just aren't, and that's not even saying he's like a stupid person. I just genuinely don't think he understands anything that he's talking about. There's just people like that.
It's like, okay, you know, I kind of excel at talking about storytelling because this is academically what I was good at, you know. But if you put me in a room with some mathematicians, look how incompetent I look in seconds. Maybe critical thinking is not this man's forte.
It is not, obviously.
Deconstruction and analysis of literature and text, this might not be his thing. Maybe he's like a brilliant physicist. I don't know. So, but shout out to you though. That was entertaining. High and Low said, like you said, fights are very hit and miss. And in season 3, he's. Oh wait, I read that already, didn't I?
Yeah. Did you read my comment?
No, I'm not there yet.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Sorry, I'm not agreed. Tower of God fight are not mediocre.
I'm not agreed.
So please explain. He asked you to explain in the video if you disagree. Elaborate because I think they're average at best. I mean, you know, you don't want.
So we got a person that has no reading comprehension and a guy that can't write. We're learning a lot today. I see how this is going.
That Bam Shinsu power is black, but we've already seen Bam Shinsu on the hidden floor. This wasn't a new thing. That's the only thing I was saying. Mario Cat. I miss that a lot attacks became energy beams. There are worse offenders, and there are other. And he could be very good when emotional stakes. Kaiser and Neda ran versus Anak, and with White, it's not bad. But why that fight has no real reason? There you go. See, someone being honest. I alright, I enjoyed it, whatever. But that fight had no purpose. That's all you have to do. You don't have to lie. That said, he makes good moments in fights and what trick characters can pull up. And it's fine. And God of High School is the action manhwa that's out there currently, not fair. That was his strength since the start of the fighting tournament. Fun vibe. I could just say because I compared just so you understand that part. I compared SIU to other creative teams and webtoon creators, especially specifically on Naver and Line. So like God of High School, I talked about Noblesse, Gosu and stuff, and how that even if he's good, I do think comparatively he's lacking. I don't know if you guys agree with that. And I just mean choreography. I didn't fully lean into the emotional aspect because I didn't feel like doing it. If I made this video maybe 3 years ago, I would have added that part. But like fights should be happening to happen at this point, so I don't really. I didn't want to get into that.
My experience is well, but I would agree with that. His choreography doesn't match up with some of the others that I've read.
It's really like it's really weird. Like yeah, I would agree. Like if we're talking like Ghost or God of High School, yeah, I would agree. I think SIU's biggest issue for writing and even fights, it's always just going to be consistency. That's the thing. Because when I see him do something like Elaine in Bam, I know you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you can. Like, I have faith in you. It's the same thing with Oda. When Oda's in his bag, he's in his bag. You can't tell me that man can't write fights. But then sometimes it's like, oh, this is kind of mid, bro. Like, it's just, I think consistency is the biggest issue of his.
Yeah. And so many things are just very jarring. So, yeah. But all right. Childish New Jab Best. They were good to me only in season 2. Season 2 is definitely where I think they're the best. For season 1, he was still finding his footing, so I give him that pass. That's fair. However, season 3 fights aren't hitting for me. In season 3, the fights are just bland. There's no creativity in the choreography, no forces conveying behind the punches or kicks, and that white trails, filter, whatever they obscure so much, and it makes it difficult to follow the fights. The fight with Yas, Ratcha, and Yama was shocking only because of the conclusion, and that did nothing else for me. Let's not even mention Bam versus White. Take Gosu for instance. When the MC does his martial arts, you can feel the force behind his. I've always said the way that Gosu kind of emphasizes movement and like force of a strike. Like you'll see them spin and strike, but like you could see all the torque and the motion and them actually spin. Like it's conveyed so well through the artistry that I really really like. You think SLU maybe have deteriorated? It's possible that maybe his wrist and stuff hurts, but doesn't he have assistance now that I heard about? I don't know if that's I haven't really. People just be saying stuff sometimes. Like I'll take your word for it.
That's facts.
even when that news about like Tagashi came in, I'm like I didn't see no major news. I only believed it when I saw Anime News Network because I find him to be mostly credible. So, but. I was on the edge of my seat when reading Lane vs. Bam. The tactics and the choreography were just hits. Yeah, when he got bit even by Fenrir, because I thought he was strong. I thought that he kind of showcased that he was probably stronger than Kaiser. But when he got bit by the thing, and this is more about getting the name, and he was just kind of bleeding out his hand, and only she could stop it. I'm like, oh well, maybe. But yeah. Sorry, but where was I with his comment? The fight with Yama because of the end. I mentioned Bam versus White. The Gosu assistance for it's conveyed very well. SLU was good in season 2 up to the last station. Every fight after the last station feels the same. I think I agree with that. I don't know if it's the coloring and the shading.
Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But the fights have become but some people like they cling on to it's season 3 specifically, and I still think the last station has issues. That's all I'm saying. I think you can like this is all documented. You can go see it on any of the old streams back on like Google Hangouts and one on everything. I said that I could see the fissures forming here. That could create a chasm in which we fall into a lot of problems. And I said it was starting to really rear its head in the last station, and people are like, "You're dumb and ugly and black." Blah. I mean, they didn't say that, but
Wait, I have one question for both of you. Then,
what's up, Lizard?
Okay. What's up, Liz? Wait. So, where would you place the Calivan versus Hajin Sung? You guys think it's good, average among the Tower of God fights, or?
It's if you were to isolate that fight as just a fight, it's really good, but narratively, it's not.
Oh, wow.
And then when you look at like the fallout from it and how it's affected season 3, and then like what has came of it, it's still not good.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No.
Repeat that.
What do you think of the Hajin Sung versus Calivan fight?
It's got moments though. Like, I think the problem is, I think I took what he said in the blog post. It's gonna be a classic. I was like, oh shoot. I think it's one of those things where my expectations weren't properly tempered. So I was just like, whatever. I guess.
I think
it's not bad. I don't dislike it.
You could call it a classic. I think you could call it a classic in terms of Tower of God. I think
someone said that it meant more like hand to hand. That's what he meant. I don't know if that's true, but again,
that's not. Yeah, no.
People just be saying stuff, and I just be like, you got it. Yeah.
I will say it's kind of crazy that Anak and Rand showed more martial arts prowess in a Hajin Sung versus Calivan fight. However, you didn't
see the technician pose, bro. The technician. You didn't see the pose, the hands, the
Tiger Dragon reverse flow control definitely go crazy.
Yeah. Naya, what's the best fight in season 3 so far? I don't see that like Mule Love versus. I would.
That's a good question.
Off the top of my head, for some reason I want to say Calivan and White or
That might be. Yeah.
But that's not saying much.
Bam versus White,
I want to say. I'm trying to think of one of the old like beginning like Yama fights was good.
Oh, I lied. You're right. You just reminded me. It's probably Kel Helm versus Yama. I like that.
Okay.
I like the way that Kel Helm was shooting them arrows, but I don't know. She was clean. But D's my favorite fight. D's. Oh shit. I thought he meant delete for a second. Delete. But yeah, I would probably go with Yama and when he was kind of going to go into his full transformation against Cal Hellam and his yip yip, his little bull. So
Appa.
yip yip. For me, Hodgson versus. Okay. I actually do like the little Holland and Pudidi and tag team little thing. That was good for me. There's a lot of small things there that I can appreciate. How are people feeling with the most recent fights, like Gas Ratchet versus the Frog is a perfect example of how bad the fights can get, where you don't even know what's going on half the time. Jinsung versus the Branch Dude has been a mixed bag. I think from a choreographer, I think it's hard to tell what's going on sometimes. That's been my biggest problem recently, where I'm like, because someone said that I think with this recent chapter that like I thought Bam like weaved and like went under Holland's like ethereal animal seal looking sea creature thing, but someone's like, no, he like scorpion come over here to me. I'm like, I can't effing tell. I don't know. But yeah. Rand versus Randico versus Crab. Stop. Not the crab.
Hey, Mr. Krabs go kind of crazy.
Tamatoa wasn't moving me. Every Friday, the last agents feel the same. I was saying coloring. Maybe SU can learn a thing from watching Jackie Chan or Stephen Chow. Maybe he should watch Kung Fu Hustle. I love that movie. I love Kung Fu Hustle.
Great movie.
That's a great movie. Ketan says, I'm 50-50 on this. SU can make some really good fights. I agree with that. And some really horrible ones where you can't even tell what's going on because it's a beam fest. Power of beams, baby. I would also say early season 2 till the end of the data floor was when SIU was at its peak with action combat. Viole versus Rana Novik. That's actually a little underrated. It's pretty good. Ran versus Nak. Ran's fights are just great. Ran versus Iniesta. Bam versus Kaiser. Yuri versus Karaka. Bam versus Al
I love
Jihad.
Bam versus Iniesta.
I like Yuri versus Karaka a lot, even though like it's like I like. To me, it was like I felt like, oh shoot, we're really seeing some like rankers and versus the high ranker type stuff, and I always liked how he would zoom out and we went to the bridge and you would see like the destruction that's happening down there, and like you guys are not ready. Cross that bridge, get on the train and leave. Like you're not ready.
Yeah.
I was wrong. They're
It
ready.
was causing havoc.
Yeah, they're ready though. Not really, but all of these I'll never forget. But most of the season 3 fights fall flat and forgettable for me, unless it's Bam versus White in the nest. That would just stick up because how badly it was done and exposed all of SC's weak points. Had fake emotional investment, zero tension, bad choreography, ruined power dynamics, and ended horribly with the worst possible outcome. Random power up for Rack and Aguero wasn't moving you? And well, all downhill, SLU starts to cater towards TOGs and action demographics, so every situation is now resolved with a fight, and the series has turned into another battle show. Then go ahead.
No, I was about to say, is it crazy to say the last great fight was Bam versus the Horde? Like the last truly great fight was Bam versus the Horde.
I don't think that's crazy to say now.
No. In terms of like a really good high quality fight that hits on all cylinders, like from a choreography, from an emotional investment to intrigue and stuff, and a conclusion being decent, yeah, I'd say that. Not mad at that.
Yeah, okay. That's been 2018. Goddamn.
Nah, that fight really goes down as like really one of the great. That's such a good. Yeah.
Kung Fu Hustle's getting a sequel. I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I don't want. I'm scared. The major problem I see now is the fact that SLU is not clearly showing what's happening when there is so much stuff happening. It's like people who like say a lot but they don't say anything. Like those were a lot of words. What the hell did they mean? I totally agree with that, Barry. A simple pull instead of a swish sound effect would convey the Holland stuff. Okay, that works. Kung Fu House. Oh, yeah, I get sequel. He is ready. They not ready. Facts. Yeah, the sound effect has been poorly used this season. That guy was going crazy. He really was snapping. There's some guy named Miles. He's good. His highs and lows are very high. His highs are very high. He was very consistent season 1 and 2 to the point that it shows he knows what he's doing. But similar to even his storytelling, his ability to do fights has also diminished a lot with season 3. And even though season 3 now is a huge section of the overall story, he has already done enough to prove his great fights aren't flukes. So hopefully he gets his groove back. Feel it? You want to say anything to that, or are you good?
No, I mean that's it. Yeah, I think he's shown. All I'm saying is I think he's shown.
He has really good ones. At the end of the day, I've never taken that away with it. And I said there's stuff that he does well. Like I said, I always thought he was good at showing destructive scale because he would zoom out and show you. Even in the Calivan fight, I even use an example where I think Calivan gets pushed back or he pushes back hard in the song, and you see how far he slides. I'm like, dog, this nigga strong as hell. Moonless
Oh,
said, if we look at top TOG fights up to the latest chapters without context, just pure fight choreography and power abilities, I'd say it evens out the average. But if we contextualize, include everything like stakes, emotion, creativity, the characters that are paired against each other, the ambience, and even the art style and art quality, after all, fights are about visuals. I'd say TOG fights are pretty amazing, up to Kalachad versus Jinsung. I would rate most of them a 7 out of 10 and higher, though I didn't read TOG in a while. I might be overestimating them, but everything went downhill in season 3. Not that they aren't any good amazing moments, just that the most fights are literally laser beams, a laser beam show. As you said in one video, I have to wait for the fight to end completely to understand what the F was going on. Didn't have any of that problem prior to season 3. Like, I don't like to comment on TOG fights and who can't win until it's over. Like, I'll just try to make sense of what I think is happening. Is the best that I could really do for you, you know? So,
Yeah.
what's up, high and low? We're just going through these comments for the time being. I gotta get through this because this is coming out soon. I love TOG fights. They are awesome and definitely hit. What did I say? I said bet. Okay. I enjoyed a lot of the fights from most of season 2. Most of the characters in the workshop battle and Hell Train arc had interesting backstories and abilities, but in season 3 it just feels like a massive laser battle that's hard to follow. Fights have become more about how powerful you are instead of how smart you are, how creative you can be. I agree with that. Do you think earlier other tactics tend to play a part in it, or was it always about strength?
Nah, it used to be tactical.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Like I
the
said,
Tower God
that's what I
fights?
said.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
at least more.
like
Yeah,
earlier,
they were
like
extremely tactical based. Especially
it
like
had rules.
look, I think season 1, I think people underrate how good, even though we didn't have many, but the two main fights of Ren versus Adori attacking them, and then them versus Quattro are really, really, really good. From the context of how they're trying to like maneuver around fighting a ranker, but even like Ren, the moves that SIU draws and does are very well. Like Ren's move, of what when he fights Endorsi and Nak, and he like I forget if it's in Nak or Endorsi, but he like does like the weird like switch kick, and then he plants the foot on the ground and does the side dash thing, and then like grabs the sword out of the air. Will never not live in my head. I love that sequence of events. Like, it's just I think tactics were a real big thing. They really aren't anymore.
No. But but I think this is kind of consistent with a lot of these series. At some point, I think it mostly becomes like who's like, because sometimes people will like, well, they'll mention a bunch of things, and I'm like, and shout out to Vince for saying this. I think he said it to you once. I think it was you. He said it too, where it's like it makes too much sense, so it's not gonna happen. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, well, like I think someone today said, yeah, maybe like Bam is stronger than Haji-sung, but Haji-sung has more experience. When does that ever matter?
experience.
No, like I'm being so like I'm being for real. Like when is that ever? Like when has experience and like wisdom ever mattered? It's like Bam does stuff, you don't understand it, shouldn't want to you lose.
Yeah, I really think Tower of God's one of those few ones where I think like there's so many avenues in which you could play on experience, because it's like Endorsi and Anak and them are hundreds of years old. So they would have experience in certain things, but they would still probably have less experience than like a ranker of the same age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many ways in which you could play the experience card and how that really shapes these people's fighting styles and how they're going to go into fights. But you know, we gotta throw all the good shit to the wayside. And
yeah,
Your experience said nothing to White. Help the White with nothing when you guys ask people.
yeah, it's just weird. Like Elaine's 1,000. Elaine should be one of the most experienced fighters, like in the crew, which she is. But like she doesn't fight, so it doesn't matter.
And I remember way back, someone was like, "But what if someone plays mind games and mentally?" I'm like, when have you seen that? Like until we're like. I hear you, but like you're just in headcanon theory, area. Like get out of there.
Wait, what do you mean by mind games? Because didn't the Korean window guy do something to Bam's? I mean, that was spells, but like
Oh,
I don't think Bam.
that thing that makes you like want to like commit suicide or something. I mean, I don't know. I think he meant more like a. Let me think
Oh
of.
yeah, like psychological.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
more like you demoralize your enemy without necessarily having to throw a punch because you point out their position or how powerless they are, even if they like win this fight or something. Like you're
Yeah,
oppressed.
saying that to
I
an
don't know.
irregular is crazy though. Like, what are you gonna say to Bam? You're part.
I don't.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and got Pac Labor
but that
kind of did that with Caliban. Thousands of years of experience, losing to someone less than 100. LeBam James. LeBam James is crazy. LeBam James is out here.
Bam's
Shout out to Joey. That's what Joey used to call him. LeBam James.
LeBam James.
Yeah.
Bam's less than 30.
So yeah. Okay, disclaimer, I'm not an action merchant. Up until season 3, SCU did a good job placing weight behind the fight, conflicts to resolve, goals to reach, etc. When he did it right. Then season 3 came in, man. I know it's more of a writing problem, but this aspect was what made the fights great. As for the choreography art itself, I've read better ones, but none as engaging as TOG fights used to be. We got Haku of the Tubes. Shout out. Follow him. That's my guy. That's like the OG. That's an OG. Even he went on this platform talking about Tower God, I want to say as long as 6 years ago.
Damn.
It's definitely hit and miss. I feel like we don't actually get real fights very often. I can agree with that. They are bland beam fest. Tower beams, baby. 2, there are fights without great choreography, but are greater mostly in terms of storytelling, like Bam versus White in the Dollar Show. Or there are terms of spectacle, like Urek versus Hell Joe. This is where I would compare it to One Piece or My Hero Academia. Both of those manga have fights that are great in terms of emotion or storytelling, but the choreography and overall combat writing is not very good. Interesting.
I would just agree with that.
Wait, what?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think we talked about it. I mean, we alluded to it earlier, but One Piece choreography is hit or miss. Like, if we're looking at when Oda's has the time of day to do it, I don't like the thing of people saying it's the worst of the big 3 by far. It's very comparable. You're
It's
gonna have a hard
selective.
time. Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have a hard time finding from fighting based mangas to be able to match things like Luffy versus Katakuri, Luffy versus Lucci, Zoro versus Mr. One, Zoro versus Kaku, Sanji versus Robert. Like, these are extremely good fights with extremely good choreography, good context around why they're happening, and extremely good conclusions.
Okay. Simi said, my hero choreography is great when they actually fight. One Piece fights are hit and miss. I feel that. I like what the thing said. Experience. Kel Helm stops his fight when he sees Bam. Kel Helm is smart. Be like Kel Helm. He said, I'm not getting packed today. Sorry, what was his last point? Did I say it already? There are some legitimately great fights in terms of choreography, art, and writing for a fight. I'd say both the White versus Caliban fight fits here. Bam versus Kaiser 100%, and most recently Jinsung versus Perditi and Holland. It was nuts to get me going back through the first Jinsung versus Perditi and Holland chapter to review and take notes and seeing how much detail there was in the choreography, especially in the positioning of the characters. I think there was a couple of little action exchanges that I wasn't particularly clear on, but I just that little moment with the offensive switch and stuff, I thought there was enough there that I was like, okay, I kind of like what I'm seeing to some second. Yeti, check your phone for 2 seconds, by the way. Okay, sorry, my bad. I got you. Check the force for 2 seconds. Oh shoot! We finally got a release date for Temtem. We Temtem Tamers. Okay, September 6th. I'm in there. Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll talk about that after if I remember. Because I actually want to talk about multiverses too, because I love what I'm seeing. I'm not gonna hold you guys. I'm very excited for multiverses. I like what I've seen. But you guys know this is kind of my thing though. Barry Senpai. In season 2, the fights were the best. Anak versus Ran, Data versus Bam. Yep, Tower God fights hits when it has emotional stakes. Agreed. The TOG fights are good. I like the Ran versus Anak, Bam versus White, season 2. Oh, thank God. So you guys scare me sometimes when you say that. Can you guys say Hulken? Bam versus Kaiser, Erect versus Helljo, Bam versus Jihad, Bam versus White Season 3. Nope, that's wrong. Yama versus Yes Ratchet Round 2. I understand this one because I think sometimes like I understand why some people like this one from a choreography standpoint, but I think the ending killed any hype and any engagement that I had with it. The Bam and Dada Jihad fight is my favorite fight, and I feel like the Yam versus Yatra fight, but there's one problem with Yam versus Yatra that Sun Woo noticed. Sometimes he has boots, and sometimes he doesn't have boots, and sometimes he has a shirt on, and other times he's shirtless, and there are problems that Sun Woo noticed, and there's problems in Season 3 fights, and that is laser beams is getting repetitive now, not like Bam vs. White Season 3, ... But there's too many laser beams and slashes, but I still like it, but Bam vs. Jihad is better. I still like SIU's fights when there's emotions behind it, but fights without emotions behind it is not his specialty. His specialty is writing good characters, plot, mystery, art, and lore, in my opinion. You guys agree?
Yeah. Yes? Question?
There's a lot there. I mean, I agree with the beams part. Definitely not with White and Bam Season 3. The Yama Yas Ratchet Round 2, a lot of people liked how it was playing out in terms of just what was happening on screen. But when we had that moment where like he put the fear fang in you,
Yeah,
and then
the
it's like
fear really
that's
ruins
yeah,
it.
that's what no one was really being moved by. But I think I'm this last sentence. His specialty being good characters, plot, mystery, art, and lore. Do you agree with all those things he said, or hit or miss on some? Good characters.
Yeah, that's
Lore
a
is
strong
probably the
too.
most
Yeah,
important.
it's just hard to say because right now I feel like he's just be bullshitting.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's fair to say that's his strong suit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely.
When he said his strongest, that's.
You said what?
I said when he's at his strongest, that's probably what he's good at, but
Okay, I
he's
got you.
not really at his strongest when he's
I think this is a panel of Caliban kneeling in both and having both arms. Oh, really? I didn't notice the I may have noticed subconsciously the shirt one, but the boots one I definitely didn't notice. I didn't notice that that's really happening, but that's like, can he go back and fix that? Like that's one of those things where like that's human error that I can kind of live with sometimes as long as it's corrected later. Because I remember when Whitebeard first shows up in the chapter on the Moby Dick when he pulls up on Marineford, I think he's missing a scar, but it's fixed in the volume version. That's just human error. That happens. Like sometimes I had a title the other day a thumbnail the other day, and I spelled mediocre wrong. I had meaty core. That just happens. Medicore. So it happens. I am a crazy TOG fan to the point I read Daily Pass Korean Raws, even though I don't understand a single word. Not gonna lie, that's funny. Not gonna lie, TOG's fighting choreography is a 3 out of 10 for me. SEO skills are great when combining both emotional weight to action and together. There are fights like Bam vs. Dada Jihad, Jinsung vs. Caliban, Ram vs. Anak, Ram vs. Yanetta, Bam vs. Kaiser, which are top fights in TOG for me, but were they that great when it comes to the technical side? No. Because in every single one of those fights, the emotional side of the fight was overwhelming compared to the technical side. I would say some of these are pretty good technically. Being that Jihad and the Kaiser, the Name Hunter fight specifically. What I mean is if you imagine and play the fight inside your head with removing the emotional parts and flashy attacks, then the fight finishes in an instant. But I don't think it's a bad flaw to have. Okay. I'll give you an example of what fights are in TOG. A magician performing a magic trick where he brings something out from his hat like a pigeon or rabbit. But here, people only claps when something new comes out of his hat. If the thing that appears is not new or is not more than the previous quantity, then people won't clap. Something new. Jihad's Cosmos and the Needle of War. Jinsung's Dragon and Tiger. Caliban's Essence of Bravery, REA Family, Swordsmanship, Kun's Lightning Technique, Elaine's Invisible Inventory, and the Wolf stuff. And most important is Bam, every single fight. I guess he's saying he always needs something bigger, newer, and flashier, or someone's not going to clap for it. I think that's what he's saying. They're saying. In most of the fights, one has to perform a new trick or double the quantity of the previous effort. The fights depend mostly on power-ups and flashy attacks, but SIU is one of the best when it comes to managing it by adding emotional burden to the fights. I guess I have a question for you. Do you guys think a lot of these fights have a lot of emotional weight to them? Is that just me who's like, the ones that have them definitely have them, but I don't think that's a consistent thing. Am I tripping?
It's very sporadic.
So I'm saying on average, I want to say no.
Meaty core sauces out. Sorry, go ahead.
I think so you can like the Bam versus White was supposed to be emotional, right? Because of what happened with what's their faces. But I don't think he just can't. I don't know. I just don't think there was any emotion. Like even when he tries to be emotional.
Yeah, I was gonna say most of the emotional stuff happens outside of fighting.
Yeah.
Like when I think of emotional moments in Tower of God, I don't go back to a fight. I always think of like when Bam finally reunited with Rack and Kun, or like within Dorsey and Anak. What's another moment?
After their death, that's emotional. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there was
even though Bam doesn't care about them, but yeah.
Yeah, you know,
that's a fact.
I feel like I feel like emotional is probably not the best word. I feel like the context or what they represent is probably better suited. Like, Rain versus Indianetta isn't like an emotional fight, but the representation of Rain being direct descendant and Indianetta not, and how that comes to fruition in their fight, and Indianetta being like, I was kind of already gonna lose from jump type shit, and like seeing those things play in different situations, I think is probably more of the interesting thing that grabs you rather than like, oh, this person did this thing to this person, so they have to do this as a result or something.
I hear you, because even at the end of the Indiana fight where he's like, don't lose to Kaiser, because he has a flashback where Kaiser Kaiser understands how the great families can kind of hold you like badly, and she said I'd pay great, like, you know, whatever for his skills, and made him a boss and stuff. So that was kind of an emotional pull there. But I'm probably with Pat. When I think of emotional moments, I'm not necessarily thinking of them mid-fight. But all right.
Yeah.
Naya's gonna go crazy with Soups. Listen, man, we don't know my main yet. We don't know for sure. Yeah, you know, picking Superman. Naya's Gustang. Is Gustang? Wait. If Gustang shows up, will there be a fight between him and Trauma Ray? I hope so. That's what I want, or at least some discourse. And even if it's like, when civil discourse is just on the precipice of failing, like conflict is gonna happen. I want it to toe that line at least. Like someone says one thing disrespectful and they just start fighting. That's what I want. I think they have the panel of him having both arms, or the efforts of bravery in the wrong hand. Okay, I can see that happening. I still need flipping the hands by accident. I can see that happening. Yama and Yes Patrick could have been emotional if we gave a damn about the time. End of season 2. Problem with Bam vs. White is was standard, predictable, and White force. I got spit on, yeah. The Bam vs. White fight at retrospect is so much worse since Bam got another power up right after. SC really didn't need to trample my guy to give the side characters a boost. But how would Rack and Aguero keep up? Slide. How would they keep up? How did you expect them to keep up if they don't get a power up? I swear to God, that's what people be saying to me. So that's what I deal with.
It makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah, so I said for oh my lord. Sorry, where was I? We like the lore in TOG, and SU tries to flood the information from different points in the story. I don't really care. I'm not a lore guy. From fights, communication, etc. But with the information and power up stops, will people clap anymore? No. The primary issue is the power scaling and difference between ranker, high ranker, regular, irregulars to heaven and earth. There are mangas and manhwas who are in total dimension when it comes to action and fighting choreography. TOG can't stand in the same league as them in action and fighting choreography, but they can't stand in the same league with TOG when it comes to lore and world building. I don't think we can have both the immense lore or world building and good action choreography at the same time. Okay, so we got to pick one necessarily, but still we can see how good the art has progressed from season 1 to season 3. I guess SLU realizes where his skills lacked and where he is good. I believe he'll make progress and master parts of the skill where he lacks as he keeps writing Tower of God. Okay. Nat, Zulu Warrior. He does a great job making specific moments during, before, and after the fight, depending on what fight seem goated. The combat is good in my opinion. I'm a meathead, so like you said, it's not his forte. Love this video. Thank you. It's Tower of Beam these days only. Scope. Depends on the fight. But I've found lately in season 3 that fights have been bogged down by a lot of visual noise. That is a great way to put it. I'm gonna start saying that. Copyright. I'll give you credit. Visual noise. That's what it is. It's clutter. As you said, SLU in the past has been really good at showcasing destructive scale, and I would tend to agree. Lately, though, I found that when he is showing the scale and the flow of the fight, sometimes being sacrificed for the sake of how the ability looks, if that makes sense. I got you saying. The where you place it still matters. Like, it looks good, but I don't know what the F is actually happening. Okay, oh my god, that scared me.
Yay!
Sly the guy.
Bonita.
No,
Peace,
the guy.
peace.
Thank you for the subscription. I really appreciate it.
Yay! Bonita.
That scared me.
Peace, peace.
I promise you, this stuff be scaring me in my ear. I have to lower that. I keep forgetting to lower it because one time I was recording off screen and I guess OBS and stuff is still connected, and someone followed, and I literally screamed. I had to re-record what I was doing. I said, "Yo, where did that come from?" But okay, I think we're almost done here. That's the issue with the fights that rely on energy blast. It's meaningless to follow unless you see the final big bang. A fight is built on direction and strategy, having strengths as well as clear-cut weaknesses and restrictions that build up the stakes. There's a reason why Bam vs. Kaiser and Dada Jihad are the two most impactful fights in comparison to most of season 3 fights. Those fights didn't rely on solely just overpowering, just an overpowering opponent along with steps being involved for Bam to capitalize and get the victory. Tower of God season 3 fights greater than One Piece Wano fights changed my mind. I think I answered this, right? I said we're comparing garbage to trash, so like they're both stinky. So I felt that. I like the Kaido fight though. Kaido fight's fine. And a lot of Big Mom stuff I enjoy, but I have to suspend a lot of stuff in my own head.
I'm about to say, bro, respect Roofies.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, that's a bit of a collective effort, so I see it a little differently. But I got you. I get you. I see people in the comments talking about season 3 saying season 2 was peak, but I just finished reading this week and it's literally the same. Bam's fight with Vagarov in season 3 was great, had impact, choreography, and anything. Then there was another Mad Dog he fought in front of Doom. Then the Test, Ranker, Pan. Each of those fights had martial arts and was greatly executed. In Bam vs. White, both used strategy. White was deflecting pretty much all of Bam's attack, and Bam won because he lured White closer and let him stab. Also, first fight of Caliban versus White was super dope, with Caliban punching White in the gut and catching his sword with his bare hands. Chan season 3 is showing great hand-to-hand combat. The only thing I'm not a fan of is Yama's transformation. That's where all the Shinsu beams are. And I think that's the last comment. I'll do a quick refresh. Make sure that no one added anything after. Yep, that's the last one. Okay. I mean, you are technically right in the sense that I guess Bam was actually trying to lure White so he can absorb him, or whatever the case was. But I guess my issue with that is that's a very jarring change, because when has Bam ever really done something like that? So it just kind of came out of nowhere. It's just like if randomly Luffy was like, I lured Kaido over here because I knew dragons can and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, what? What is you on? You don't do this? So
They're not tactical like that.
Yeah.
They're scheming.
So I feel it. I know Gusang is raw. Gusang probably shows up killing people. Do you think it's possible to feel emotion from fights like Yoa versus Angel? I do, but I think there was a missed opportunity with that fight. I've always said this. A great moment. I love it. It was dope for her. Really, really cool. Young family flair came out of all those things. But her being in a kind of unconscious state while using it, so she can't actually reply to what Angel's frustrations are with the 10 great families, was the missed opportunity, because she's in a daze. She couldn't respond to it properly, and I always thought that was a missed opportunity. I think I would have felt emotion there if Yoa felt bad. I really do have to become a leader or the head of the Yan family so I can change shit. That's my take. What do you guys think? Season 2, the fire girl, when she fought Angel, when she unlocked the ability and she was flying with the barrier, that part. When she was talking about how a lot of people in the 10 great families come to the middle area and basically sexually assault a lot of them.
Yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember the actual specific fight itself
Okay.
because I don't like Angel.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well,
Oh, I
yeah,
remember
think
now.
that
I
was,
remember. I had to think about it.
Go ahead.
What was the question? I was thinking about the fight. I was
Oh,
like,
listen, you go ahead. You go ahead first. While I repeat what's going on. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just saying, I understand why you came from back and understand why he did it like that. Like to represent the family head just being like uncaring and like there's a natural force. Like she can yell all she wants at it, but they're like, they don't really notice, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a representation of like
Yeah.
these pets. I don't know what the right word. Just normal people. They're trying to yell at her, yell at like a representation of the 10 year families, and they just don't notice. But yeah, but your way also makes sense. And...
Yeah. So wait, hold on. Do you think it's possible to feel emotion from fights like Yua versus Angel? Because it was a likable character for me, and I was saying that I always thought the missed opportunity at that fight is that Ella is in a daze, in a trance when she unlocks her fire, so she can't respond to what Angel is saying. So it's a one-sided complaint. Like you guys are out here doing all this, blah blah. They're coming to the middle area and doing what they want, and she's just like burn.
Okay, yeah, I remember this now. I actually do. Yeah. Yeah, that was a missed opportunity for sure. Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad moment. I still like it. I just said that was always my issue with it.
I guess I have two questions about like this entire little concept of fights that we're on. Then,
What's up?
one is I feel like when people use emotional in fights or choreography and like technical side of it, I feel like it's not universal in the means in which everybody's thinking of it, right? So when it comes to emotion, I feel like when people use the word, did it evoke emotion? It's always usually anger or sadness.
Okay.
That's what I usually feel when I'm like, I never heard anybody say, I saw this fight and it made me happy to see this person overcome something. I never really heard someone use like that was an emotional fight in that context. That's not to say someone has never have, but in most instances, I've personally never been asked that or like seen that.
It's
You know what I
very
mean?
rare. That's the rare emotion people speak about. You're like, did it make you feel something? So were you angry at this character? You're right. I actually agree with that.
I feel like we just always go for the sad or anger part. I'm like, there's other emotions that can be hit. Like there's a lot of emotions, and then with the like, how would you guys describe technical or choreo? Like, what would be a good technical or good choreography for you guys? Because for me, as long as
Goku versus
I
Vegeta.
have it, yeah, like as long as I have a decent understanding of both parties' abilities, right? And I feel like they're using their abilities aptly based off like the personality and intelligence that they have, and they're intermingling in a good way, then I think it's fine. Like I don't need someone doing, I'm guessing 15 steps ahead. I blocked the fourth blow so I could hit him with the shield and then do a Batista bomb. Like I don't need all of that. Like like Mr. One is literally, I just make myself a blade.
Yeah.
And he has his little things, but like there is other shit in there which focuses on cutting steel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm curious as what you guys think.
I've been talking a lot. Do you want to go, Pat?
Yeah. When it comes to choreography, I've always said that the things that make a fight great is stakes, impact, and relevance to the story. And the way that blends into like the choreography of a fight is like, obviously when fights start out, right, you're not gonna come out and, oh, okay, I'm gonna use my best attack immediately and then the fight's over, bam. No. So when you see fights where people do this, like they come straight out and say like, "Oh, I have to take care of him quickly because I know he's strong and I'm gonna go all out." You can tell like the person already feels like they're overmatched.
Mhm.
So things like that, where they do things like that, already convey to me how the fight is gonna go or how the character feels without having to explicitly state it. So I've always appreciated stuff like that. Um, I will say that Tower of God handles that pretty okay, where they keep my interest when they're fighting. I can see like they're using new abilities and stuff like that. When Bam is not fighting, at least,
Mhm.
because when Bam fights, he just like, oh, none of my attacks are working. Then out of nowhere, he gets a new ability. I'm like, bro, what? I just be so confused.
Like I said before, more something completely different and new, or more quantity. So I think it was a good point.
Yeah, like but for the most part, like SIU, when he has two characters fighting, I think of like I would say when Calivan was doing his thing in the beginning of season 3, where he was looking for the what's his name?
He was looking for the forget me not. One of the people from the Wall of Peaceful Coexistence, when he was like undercover in his
Yeah,
beret and stuff like that. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, and he was fighting like the guardians and stuff, like the people that were getting in his way, and then there was like, oh, you're a little strong, but I'm way stronger, and then like he would just punch the shit out. I was like, oh my god.
Remember when he said, when it's like, oh, like when you get hit by this fist, you'll understand that I am showing you respect. He's like, oh. He punched him. Yo,
I can never forget it.
you can't have one hand behind your back and talk about respect to me, bro. Beat my ass with both hands. Continue. Oh shit. Yeah. Hold on. Monitors show me alliance. I'll take choreographies, how characters use their respective powers against each other. Because, for example, this category, most of Luffy moves were useless. With Snake Man categories counted instead. One of my favorite fictional fights is Kuroi Gensai versus Kano Agito from Kengan. Okay. So here's what I'll say. I think that actually you go Lizard quickly before I go dine it off, and then we'll
Yeah.
move on to the next thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. For choreography, I think the biggest thing I think of is how the fight flows together. If that makes sense, like how the two people play off each other in a fight.
Yes.
Like if they play well, this I enjoy it. Let's say you use F.U.G, like the way Bam and what's your name? Fucking Kaiser, Elaine. The way they like fought and the way they played off each other, like Bam would do something, and Elaine would counter with the the wolf move, like the wolf switching, and Bam would counter that, and like the way they go back and forth is so great.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, like you have fights nowadays, it's just like kind of like it's so awkward if it makes sense. Like beams and just beams. There's no back and forth that really shows the flow in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
So to me, like so choreography is in general, so it's like that. It's just the most important thing is how well it flows together, like how well the characters. If you can flow well together, I can enjoy it. But yeah,
I think I'll say a couple of things. I think one of the issues we're having nowadays, for some reason, I get this, but at the same time I don't, is I think that sometimes people mistaking complexity for something being extremely intelligent, where sometimes simple is better, simple is very effective, simple is beautiful. So I think sometimes having like these fights have the extra visual noise. Shout out to you, Scope, and all the like stuff. It's like unnecessary. Now look at a Dragon Ball fight. Generally speaking, it's generally a lot more simple and easier to follow. I think some people will try to be like that. That makes the fight like bad or boring or not good because it's not complex enough. And I'm like, what you're failing to understand a lot of the times is that we don't always need all that. They're punching, they're fighting, and yeah, they're throwing beams, but it flows from top to like. My eyes follow the action perfectly until it's time for me to turn the page. If Vegeta punches Goku, and Goku blocks it and tries to counter with a knee, I can tell exactly who did what first. The sequence of events is clear to me in Dragon Ball. A lot of times in the category for Luffy fight, that's why I like it a lot, is that a lot of times too, that was clear to me. Katakuri would attack Luffy, he would dodge, attack him with a leg sweep, but then Katakuri would disappear and hide him with something else, where it's like, I can see 1, then 2, then 3. That's what happened in that particular order, and I think a lot of that's been lost nowadays. I could talk about the emotional and other stuff part too, but that's not really related to choreography to my sense. But I do think that what Lizard said is apt, where like how the two characters come into contact with one another, how they play off each other, like, and because it's a little bit of time, not a little bit. A fight is a bit of a dance sometimes. Like,
Yes.
like the villain and the hero, so to speak, are the leader and the follower, and a lot of times. So and then again, are they equal? Is somebody exponentially stronger than someone else? Is there a gap, but the gap is pretty minimal? Does someone have a dangerous ability, but not particularly strong, but the other one is a hardened warrior, but maybe they're only like all they do is punch and kick? There's so many things you have to consider, and then also what's the medium? Is it a graphic novel?
Yeah.
Is it watching a movie? Am I watching animation? Is it a video game? So you gotta think about all those variables. But ultimately, I've always given Akira Toriyama credit for this, where I think that he has some of the best, just like from top to bottom, the best choreography in graphic novels that I've seen. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I'm not mad at
Yeah.
that.
question has a very simple and easy answer. So go ahead. There's a reason why I like kind of as a Luffy fight is those moments, but the fight wasn't interrupted. It'd be a very good fight for me. You know how like, after the King and the Sanji stuff, they put that compilation of just the fight together. I'm sure if someone did that for the Kaido and Luffy fight, I'd have a great time. Cause I'll have much better fight. What makes a good fight choreography is suspense. That matters too.
That's
think-
yeah.
I think. I guess I was talking from a more technical and visual standpoint, but
Wait, suspense in what way? What does somebody mean by
like
that?
what's going to happen, who's going to win, like we don't actually know, and like what happens if character A wins or if character A loses, like what will character B do if he actually takes him, like removes him from his path? Will he destroy the planet, like so stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
well,
can
there's no
agree to
stakes
that.
in F.U.G.
Oh, you look at the way people respond to head-to-head.
Yeah, that's what I said
series.
earlier. Lizard, there's no stakes.
Yeah, magical nukes, simple.
Bam's
clean,
gonna
quick,
win all the
only being
time,
able
like,
to
there's no
appreciate the
stakes,
character
but yeah.
movements. When Luffy versus Kaido was
But
going,
well,
it's
I
going.
think people get it twisted when I say stakes, though. Stakes doesn't always mean
Death.
somebody has to die.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Like,
a
stakes can
consequence
be
for
a
your
number
course
of
of
things.
actions.
I've always said, like,
Yeah.
one of the very easiest, simplest ones to use is just use a superhero. You save the city from alien invasion, but there's a lot of collateral damage, a lot of death, and maybe you lost somebody very important to you in the ensuing battle. You saved the city, it's good now, we gotta rebuild, but maybe the government's like, I don't know about these heroes. They be bringing a lot of, now that become, like, see, like, consequences, short term and long term. It doesn't have to be death. So.
Stakes they don't even be in just action series. Like one of my favorite stakes is always example to use is Ice Shield 21 when it was playing against Shinryuji,
Yeah.
and then fucking time was running out. Manta caught the ball. Agon was about to tackle him, and then Manta touched the out of bounds line before time ran out, and then they had to score in one play. That's stakes. I get excited every time I think about that.
Yep, sports series have it too. But all right. So ultimately, Tower God fights are just somewhere in the middle, hit or miss. I think that's the general takeaway and consensus here. I think we're mostly on the same page, comments, chat, and us in here, and myself included. So thank you for listening. I want to give a tremendous shout out to everybody who's been supporting me on Patreon. You guys have no idea how much it means to me. Shout out to the certified band lovers. Shout out to the priests of fire, but especially my fifth Zen gods, my tier 3 patrons. Shout out to Sonny Katapali, Simi, Shoddy to Your Body, Scobe, Revenant, Miles, Chris, Cayenne, Irene, Sharda, Tris, David Langstaff, Childish Nujabes, Bloody Winters, Alan, Petrie, and my boy Abdel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.